Just when you thought you liked the ending of your favorite movie.
Should be dead. Should be dead.
You know, you probably think you fully understand the endings of some of the most popular movies out there. But if you pay closer attention to the details of these movies, their endings become something other than what you thought they were. These are 10 movies that didn't end as happy as you think. Number 1 is Taken. Taken is an action-packed adventure movie that was released in 2008 that follows Liam Neeson's character Brian Mills as he travels across Europe, leaving dozens and dozens of bodies in his wake as he tries to save his kidnapped daughter. Now, he does ultimately rescue her, and the audience feels good that their family is safe. However, they're overlooking one little thing. As the Mills family hug and we start seeing credits, nobody seems to think about the amount of people left super pissed that some American badass just trashed a few city blocks throughout the continent. Every single wealthy European criminal who lost men or money in the sex slave ring is now trying to hunt down Brian and his family. And not only that, but he could be brought up on several international criminal charges for all of the damage that he did to these cities. So realistically, he is not out of the clear at all. Number 2 is Monsters, Inc. When it comes to animated kids movies, few would ever leave you distraught or worried about the fates of the characters. But maybe some of them should. This Pixar movie took the legend of a monster in a kid's closet and flipped it on its head, with the monsters requiring the screams of children to power their world. By the end, the monsters discover that laughing has 10 times the power that screams do and decide to switch to making the children that they visit laugh instead. So man, what's the problem? It's all happy hunky-dory. Well, what happens when you give a society that's already got plenty of power 10 times the amount? Well, you get a huge workforce layoff when they don't need as many scarers as before, and you also get a number of monster university graduates whose degrees are now meaningless. What you end up with is a number of unemployed, angry monsters who likely hold human children responsible for their current predicament. Yeah, think about it. Number 3 is Total Recall. Just to be clear here, we're talking about the original film with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sharon Stone, not the 2012 remake. In Total Recall, our hero Douglas Quaid, played by Schwarzenegger, takes a fake vacation to Mars by having the memories of it implanted in his brain, only to uncover that he's actually been a secret agent this entire time, and the memory of his work has been suppressed in his head. After a fight to the death with Velos Cohagen, the movie's main villain, Arnie becomes the victor, and the movie ends with our hero saving Mars and getting the girl. Yay! Well, almost. Yeah, see, however, in a scene near the beginning of the movie, someone tells Arnold that he's going to be given the memory of being a secret agent on Mars, and he's even shown the woman at the end that he's going to kiss. So, as it all turns out, it may have just all been part of the poor guy's false memories, and the fade to white at the end is actually him being lobotomized. Number 4 is The Dark Knight Rises. There's actually a couple ways Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy's final chapter, The Dark Knight Rises, didn't have a happy ending that many of us left theaters thinking that it had. For one thing, the nuclear bomb that Batman flies out over Gotham Bay doesn't get that far from civilization, which means that the fallout alone would more than likely ruin Gotham and kill thousands of its citizens. But even if we ignore that fact, it's hard to ignore Batman's proximity to the blast after he bails out of the Bat. We see Mr. Wayne just seconds before the explosion, still sitting in his flying vehicle, but then we're expected to believe that he just whoop, got away. Then we get to the end when Alfred sees Bruce and Selina at a cafe in Florence. Bruce has absolutely no disguise, so it's beyond likely that anyone at any moment is going to notice that one of the ex-richest men on the planet is alive in their midst. What many think is truly happening is that Batman actually died in the blast, and that Bruce that we see in the cafe is actually Alfred's grief-fueled hallucination. Number 5 is The Jungle Book. One of the most beloved Disney animated classics seems to have a clearly happy ending. Or does it? In the Jungle Book, we see young protagonist Mowgli raised from a baby in the jungle by wolves and panthers and all other sorts of wildlife. This man cub learns to speak with the animals, and the only life he knows is amongst the trees and temple ruins in the jungle. So when, at the end of the movie, when Mowgli meets Shanti, a young female villager, and becomes enamored, he decides to leave the only life he's ever known for villager life. But what's the problem with that ending, you might be asking? Well, A, Mowgli can't speak any language other than Panther, and B, he's basically a feral child who is completely unaccustomed to civilization. Seriously, who's going to trust a boy who prefers sleeping on the roof of the hut instead of in the hut? And he has no money and just wandered home with a strange girl. And the boy might have rabies. Why didn't we think of that? Number 6 is the Man of Steel. In the Superman reboot, Man of Steel, we see Superman battling it out with a small army of fellow super-powered Kryptonians, while powerless human beings run for their lives. Superman manages to win out in the end, sending all but one of them through a black hole and into another dimension. Shortly after that, he breaks his final opponent, General Zod's neck, worries about it for about 12 seconds, and then goes and gets a new job as a reporter. The world is safe, happy enough ending. Well, it is if you ignore the tens of thousands of Metropolis' citizens who were killed when half the city was destroyed in all of the fighting, not to mention the fact that Superman just appeared and people know he's as powerful, if not more so, than the entire Kryptonian army. Just to put that into perspective for you, imagine if a Nazi came forward and said, "Oh, don't worry, I'm a good Nazi. I'm here to save you." Yeah, that's disturbing. Go ahead and think about that one. Number 7 is Gravity. Set way up in orbit around the Earth, Gravity is a gripping movie about a doctor/astronaut played by Sandra Bullock hallucinating conversations with her recently deceased co-workers while she struggles to find a way back home. The ship she went into space with is destroyed when debris from multiple satellites begins hurling around the Earth at 50,000 miles per hour. Bullock's character, Dr. Ryan Stone, manages to avoid multiple dangers and get to safety, creating a happy ending. Well, except for the fact that due to the growing amount of debris hurtling around in orbit, space travel or even the use of satellites is now gone for a few generations of humanity. That's right, the villainous debris is a real issue called Kessler syndrome, and it means that no space travel is possible for at least 100 years. Number 8 is Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. The last of the original Star Wars trilogy, Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, ends with a nice bow on the overall plot. The rebellion has won, and the second Death Star has been destroyed. What's not to be happy about that? Well, you don't have to watch The Force Awakens to understand that the Empire is obviously still alive and strong. They also now have a very real reason to hunt down the rebel scum and have their revenge for the death of their leaders. While Luke, Han, Leia, and their friends dance around and smile, there's an admiral out there who just got the biggest promotion of his life, and he's gonna ruin the whole universe's day because of it, baby. Number 9 is Sin City. Now, it's not really right to say that the 2005 Frank Miller comic book adaptation Sin City has a happy ending, seeing as how Bruce Willis's character Hartigan winds up shooting himself in the face and all. But it does show Jessica Alba's character Nancy being saved from her kidnapper and whisked back to the safety of her home, which is pretty happy, right? Well, see, Hartigan only kills himself to keep the bad guys from trying to get to him through Nancy again. So that ties it all up, right? Well, if you watch an earlier scene, you hear the boss Roark say that he won't let anyone tarnish his family's reputation and that he'll kill anybody who's aware of his son's crimes, which obviously includes Nancy. So, Hartigan's dead, Roark is looking for some vengeance, and there's literally nobody left to stop them and protect the person that they were after in the first place. Basically, Bruce Willis died for nothing, and Nancy's head is now back on the chopping block. And number 10 is Harry Potter. You're a wizard, Harry. and it's depressing. Okay, first off, whether they'll admit it or not, everybody seems to like Harry Potter, even if just a little bit. After 8 movies, the series concludes with Mr. Potter defeating the evil Lord Voldemort and saving the world to the cheers of his friends. All is so magically perfect, isn't it? Well, I hate to burst any Potter fan bubbles, but if you stop and think about those pesky happiness-stealing Dementors, you'll see how both the wizards and muggles might just have a pretty colossal problem on their hands. See, the Dementors were controlled by Lord Voldemort, so since he's dead, the Ministry has fallen and many of the most powerful good wizards were killed in the final battles. Who can stop them from stealing the souls of basically everyone? The answer is nobody. Nobody's left. They're basically free to fly about and reap any soul that they please. Welcome to the all-you-can-reap soul feast. Poor muggles. So, those were 10 movies that didn't end as happy as you think. But what do you guys think of these theories? Do they make sense, or did the movies end exactly as they intended? Leave a comment below because I'll be reading through them and I'll pin the best one to the top. But as always, thank you guys so much for coming by today. Remember to come back tomorrow and every weekday at exactly 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time because I'll have a brand new video for you, baby. I'll see you then.